This episode is presented by the Visit Cedar City Brian Head Tourism Bureau. Discover the art of adventure at Utah's gateway to the parks. Cedar City is within a few hours' drive from 6 different national parks and monuments, and only 30 minutes from fresh snow at Brian Head Resort. Check out visitcedarcity.com to plan your next trip. This episode is sponsored by the Cedar City Business and Innovation Center, dedicated to supporting local businesses and entrepreneurs. It provides resources and services aimed at fostering business creation, growth, and retention. The center features the Makerspace, where entrepreneurs and small businesses can have access to 3D printers, video production, and photography equipment, t-shirt printing, and more. Whether you're starting a new venture or looking to expand an existing one, the Cedar City Business and Innovation Center offers the tools and guidance to help you succeed. To learn more and get involved, visit innovationcenter.cc. Hello and welcome to another episode of Explore Local Podcast, presented by Visit Cedar City Brian Head in partnership with Cedar City Iron County Economic Development. This is produced by Dallas Smith Media, and I'm your host, David Johnson, Economic Development Director for Cedar City and Iron County. Okay, all right, and today we have a special guest, Diane Bealer, with Little Village Retreat out of Kanarraville. Diane, welcome.
Thank you very much.
So, Diane, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about what your business is and what you guys do?
So we're a glamping retreat, and really glamping is just fancy camping. You can get super, super fancy. We keep it pretty simple but luxurious.
Gotcha.
If that even makes sense.
That sounds like a good marketing line. Simple but luxurious.
Yes.
Yeah. Glamping, for those that don't know, is a hybrid word of glamorous camping, essentially, right?
Yes. So you come, you don't have to pitch your own tent. You don't sleep on the ground. Like, you have a really nice memory foam, king-size bed. There's futons. Nobody has to sleep on the floor. And we have domes and a safari tent.
Okay.
So really nice inside space, and then a fire pit, grill, picnic table. So you're basically in nature. It feels like camping, but it's not as hard on your body.
Well, that's always a benefit.
Yes.
I have a few family members and friends that would prefer that over camping by far. Yeah, we have some family members and friends that would rather stay in the hotel and they'll meet up with us, and that's because camping's not everybody's thing. But the glamping world it's like the luxury. It's like RVs, but without having to deal with an RV, right?
Yep, no maintenance for you.
I
for
picture
the guest.
you said you have domes and a tent. Well, maybe most people in the audience don't even know what a yurt is. Are they essentially like a yurt style, or
kind of?
Yeah.
So if you know what a yurt is, that helps you picture it.
Mm-hmm.
So we have geodesic domes, and a lot of people don't know what those are. It basically is a PVC igloo.
Okay.
So it's not snow.
Yeah.
So it's a still and then a PVC structure.
Yeah, in southern Utah, well, maybe Cedar City snow, some in Kanarraville, right? Yeah. We're not going to have
very
igloos.
much.
Yeah.
So, but it's just a structure that's really, really strong. Like, they're hurricane rated. So it's not going to blow around like, the tent that you pop up when you're hiking or something like that. So it really keeps you safe, warm, secure. But it allows you to be in nature. Like, they have a huge panoramic window. They have a skylight. So it feels like you're camping without the hard part.
Gotcha. So where did you get the idea to start a glamping business?
So we went through a series of ideas. That happens a lot when you want to start a business sometimes. So we started really big. We wanted to go really, really big. Actually wanted to do a 55 and older community.
Oh, wow. Like a residential community?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So you had a property already then?
No, we were just looking. So, but we have a lot of maintenance background with both inside homes and outside of homes.
Okay.
And we have a lot of knowledge about how those things run. My husband was a nursing home administrator for a while.
Oh, okay.
So we have a lot of weird work experience that helps us with that kind of thing. And we have parents and aunts and uncles that are all approaching the age where they need more help.
Sure.
So we actually started that direction, but you only need to raise like $12 million.
Yeah, no biggie.
So it's not a big deal at all.
Yeah.
So we actually just went through some different ideas that would be similar because we have 6 kids. We wanted to teach our kids to work hard, be involved in the business, be outside, get off their screens.
Yeah.
So we went through a series of ideas, and then my husband did some concrete work for a glamping place over in Kanab.
Oh, okay.
And he came home and said, check out this place. So we looked it up, and then we started looking at different opportunities. We didn't want to be just like them.
Yeah, sure.
But we just looked at different opportunities, and those ideas are what we went with.
Gotcha. What's the name of the place in Kanab? Do you remember off the top of your head?
East Zion Resort.
East Zion Resort. Okay, yeah. There's a few different ones throughout southern Utah, but this one's unique to Iron County, right? Yes. And so how many of the geometric domes do you have?
So we have 3 geodesic domes.
Oh, geodesic.
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh, you got to explain to me, what does that mean, geodesic?
So the root would be geometry, right? Because they take the angles, right? So they
kind of picture like it looks like a golf ball that someone cut the bottom off and set on like a platform,
or a jungle gym.
Oh, okay.
It really truly looks like a ginormous jungle gym, and then you stretch this PVC. It's like a thick tarp type stuff over the top.
So it's not canvas.
No, it's not. Yeah,
PVC.
Yeah, it's a material made out of PVC.
Interesting.
So just picture a huge jungle gym and cover it with white.
Oh, okay.
And you've got it.
Okay.
So
and describe. Well, you know what? I want to back up a little bit. Let's get into. Let's pause on the actual like description of each of the little geodesic, right?
Good job.
And then you have a tent and how many acres. Let's pause on that, because you said something earlier that kind of interested me. You talked about how you had your kids and you wanted them to work and get outside more. Tell me about this. It's a little left field, but why? Why is that? Why was that something important to you as not just a parent, but also as a business owner?
So I feel like my kids were in a stage, I won't say all kids, I'll say my kids.
Sure.
I feel like my kids were kind of at a point where they thought the coolest job on earth is to be a YouTuber.
Yeah, I think I hear that from almost every child.
Or to be able to like play Minecraft professionally. Yeah. Which is legit super cool.
I mean, it can be lucrative if you can get the following on YouTube.
Super cool. But
it's like trying to be a rock star. Right?
Yeah. And we try and teach our kids that their dreams are also attainable.
Sure.
But I want them to work for it. But if you want to work to be a YouTuber or play Minecraft professionally, your job is to be on a screen.
Yeah.
And studies show that's just not good for kids' brains. It's not good for adult brains either.
Early childhood development.
Oh, yeah. It's just horrible for their brains. My kids still have screens time. I'm not that crunchy.
Well, it's hard to escape it.
It's just, they use it at school. It's just part of daily life.
Right.
So we just wanted our kids to know what it's like to work and to achieve goals. Like those are life skills that are incredible. If you can build that in their youth, how amazing is that? So we just wanted them to be involved. So they helped us build the deck. They learned how to drive the skid steer and the Mini X. Like they did those things. They dug trenches. They spread gravel. They helped us. It was actually myself and my 2 teenage sons that put together the geodesic domes.
Oh, that's awesome.
So they were able to, and they complain and moan and groan. This is not like...
Isn't that the job of teenagers?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, this is not like we're this perfect family. It's like we have to drag them down there,
right?
Put them to work. And then we end up having a fabulous time once the complaining sort of stops.
Right.
So we just wanted them, and we wanted them to see what it takes. And not that every dream needs you to sweat and toil and bleed in order to get it done.
Maybe not physically, but
But it's hard. It's like, and it should be. It should take a lot out of you to achieve your dreams.
Right.
Even if that's to be a YouTuber.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Well, I saw something the other day. It was talking about some of the previous generations before us, how, they like, I don't know, like those who, have lived during times of economic depressions or war where they didn't have a choice but to work to provide for their needs. Right. And it talked about how our natural inclination as parents is to give our kids a better life than what we had. Right. And oftentimes that means make life easier, right? Not so difficult. But what this thing that I was watching, it's a video and I can't remember where, it was saying, because of that, if we've learned to work hard because we didn't have a choice and we're trying to give our kids a better life, then we've got to find opportunities to teach kids how to work, right?
Yeah.
To understand that the value of work, just like you're saying, helps us achieve our dreams or our goals. And so you as a family obviously had a goal to start this business, right? So that's interesting to me. The other part that I found interesting to me is specifically on the outdoors. Why replacing the screen time? And tell me, what do you view as what's the outdoors, and why replace screen time with outdoors, specifically with a multiplicity of things that you can? I mean, there's lots of other things.
Yeah. So I'm no expert. So you can take what I say with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about your business and why you did this.
But there are studies that show literally just like, even if you were at our property in Kanarraville and you were inside a dome playing checkers, right? You're not on a screen.
Right.
You're still, you can see nature. It's feet away from you out the window. Your brain fires more rapidly and you get more like of the positive reinforcement if you're playing checkers outside on the deck or on the picnic table.
Right.
Same activity, even the same location, you're literally just outside.
Right.
So that step out the door into the fresh air where you can see the sunshine, the cloud, like all of those things, even in bad weather, you get more positive feedback from your brain outside than in.
Yeah, it's interesting how that is.
So we just wanted our kids to work outside. Because not only do they work, right? It teaches them how to finish a task, how to get through the hard part, how to build even muscle, like all of those things. But they're getting positive reinforcement.
Right.
Even if they think it's the worst experience of their life, their brain is telling them this is a good experience.
Right.
So that makes a huge difference in just the teaching them to work. It's not just me that's telling them this is good for them. Their brain.
They're seeing it, right? They're understanding it themselves, right?
And our kids still complain, but they've given us feedback. Like our older ones are starting to say, I can see how this helped me.
That's the most validating thing as a parent.
Yeah. And it's so hard to not be like, told you.
I know. Yeah, it's true. Well, so tell me then, let's kind of with that, you talked about how you as a family kind of started this business. You guys were looking for, sounds like have an entrepreneurial, knack about you. So you were looking to start a business. Your husband said, hey, I saw this idea. You wanted to start the Little Village Retreat. Tell us now a little bit, how did you go from we have this idea to now we're going to purchase this property and we're going to just start building these things, and what are the little unique things about your Little Village Retreat? And I guess maybe we should start off with the basics. Sorry, that was way too long of a question.
That's okay.
How many acres are you on?
So we actually lease property.
You lease property, okay.
So, and we have 9 acres. We're leasing 9 acres.
And repeat again, how many of the geodesic domes do you have and tents and other things?
So we have 3 geodesic domes, and then we have 1 safari tent. We can get to 7 under our county permit.
Oh, okay.
The county will allow us to get to 7 units.
So is it county property or what is it?
Yes, so we're in the county. Kanarraville is actually in the county.
But the county doesn't own the property. It's privately owned property.
It's privately owned property.
Okay, gotcha. But you get a permit through the county to have this business the way it's set up.
So if you're going to use even a commercial property, you need certain permits to run your certain type of business.
Right.
So we actually went to the county and said, this is the property we want to use. What permits do we need? And then we went through that process.
Okay. So how many does each geodesic dome sleep?
So we have 2 that can sleep 4 on beds, but we do have cots, so they could sleep 6.
Okay, cool.
We don't really advertise that on our site because we'd rather people didn't have to sleep on cots.
Right, yeah. But if you're a penny pincher like me and my family and you see a cool experience, you're going to go, hey, I want to try that out. Can you fit 6? Right.
Then we would say, yes, we can do that for you. So, and then we have 1 dome that's smaller and it just sleeps 2.
Okay.
That's just what it can comfortably do with a king size bed in there.
Yeah. What is the tent then?
So the tent can sleep 8.
8. Okay. King size bed, a couple bunks.
So we actually had a king size bed, 2 sets of bunk beds, and then some cots.
Okay.
People weren't using the bunk beds.
Oh, really?
So we actually just got rid of the bunk beds and we're going to do 2 king size beds and then some rollaway.
Oh, okay.
Beds,
yeah.
so that they can use the rollaway beds as needed. But people just we had some guests that told us afterwards, we slept 4 people in the king size bed. There were plenty of beds.
Bunk beds.
They just didn't want to sleep on the bunk bed.
Well, sometimes that's one of the interesting things about a business is you find what do people naturally do, right? And filling those needs of what's naturally occurring. How long have you guys had this going now?
So we just finished our 2nd season. So it's been open for guests for 2 years, and then it took us a year to get it ready.
Okay. Now, let me get back to my original way too long of a question, which is tell me about setting it up from we have this idea to now we're doing it and getting your kids and husband involved, it sounds like. So
we had the idea, and I actually started talking to banks to see what they could do for us. And because of everything that was going on then, it was 2021. So just after 2020, everything's kind of settling after the shutdown and everything, but still pretty chaotic. And what it came down to is the bank were like, we can't just fund this without you having some serious cash. Because we hadn't paid enough off on our home. There were it was just one of those perfect storm kind of things.
Yeah.
And I thought, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it.
Right.
So we actually sold our home.
Wow.
And my husband's aunt and uncle were they got called to be mission presidents. Okay. So they were leaving for 3 years and needed someone to rent their house.
Gotcha.
So we sold our home. We started renting their house. And then we had this cash. So the bank was like, okay, we can, we feel good about moving forward with this. And we actually were looking for land. And I couldn't find any that was where I wanted it. And that wasn't over $500,000.
Right. Yeah.
So, and there was knowledge if I had some more knowledge, but you can't look back and be like, if I had just done it differently, but.
Well, that's part of small business. And if you don't mind, I'll make a little side note. When you said we needed to come up with some cash, I immediately was in my mind. I was saying that's part of having a small business. There's these sacrifices that you have to make it happen, right?
Yeah.
And then you went ahead and talked about how you sold your home, which was nail on the head. of what was going through my mind on those sacrifices to make a small business successful. So obviously there's some fire and some passion in the belly about being able to make this happen, right?
Yeah. And so then we just couldn't find land that we felt good about purchasing. So I actually hand wrote letters to landowners.
Wow.
So on the county website, you can actually look up what company or what individual owns properties.
Right.
So I literally spent hours driving Iron County.
Wow.
And would mark on a map or drop a pin on my phone. And then I would go home and look up those properties, see who the owner was, and I would hand write them a letter telling them what I wanted to do, that their property looked beautiful. I'd be interested in furthering discussions. I wrote 48 letters.
Wow.
To people in Iron County, and one couple responded.
Wow.
And then we just discussed it. We worked out a lease. We had some attorneys draw that lease up and started work.
Wow. And you got your loan from the bank then?
Yes. So State Bank of Southern Utah.
Okay,
that's our loan.
Yeah, State Bank's always been a great support of local business, especially here in Iron County. That's interesting. And so, okay, now that you've got your loan, tell me about your brainstorm of the layout. How did you? Well, let's start with that, and then I've got a slew of other questions of walking through starting a business like this.
So about the time we were finalizing our loan and finalizing our lease and everything, I had found a supplier that was selling geodesic domes.
Okay, that was one of my next questions. Yeah.
So, and I loved the look of them. Your ROI comes pretty quick. They have like a 10-year warranty on them, even though they're not a normal structure.
Right. Yeah.
They're hurricane rated, which is a requirement of the county.
Yeah.
For something like that.
Gotcha.
It has to be because Iron County, I mean,
we got the wind.
We have the wind. So
great for photo shoots. It really.
It's fantastic. So we just started talking with that supplier and actually made a down payment on domes. We found a supplier. We have a communal bathroom. So there's 3 bathrooms.
Okay.
But everybody shares those. So we found someone to convert a shipping container into a bathroom, and we put down 50% of our own funds for the bathrooms.
Yeah. And they have showers and everything.
So there's 3 bathrooms and one of them has a shower.
Oh, okay.
So
it's a lot like a campsite, right?
Yeah.
Where you kind of have a communal bathroom, some communal showers that you take turns utilizing. Yeah.
So we just kind of took leaps of faith, and a lot of people told us we were crazy. But
that's how every good business starts.
Yeah. So sometimes you just gotta move forward.
Yeah.
Sorry. So then we got our conditional use permit from the county, which allowed us to move forward. And then we had to get some additional, just like construction permits. So, and then we just started putting everything in. So we put in the plumbing, and we were off of a well.
Oh, okay.
So we have to have a pump that pumps water from the owner's well to our portion of the property.
Well, that's another benefit of this property, the fact that they had a well too.
Yes, they had a well.
Yeah.
So, which is huge because wells are so expensive.
Yes, they are.
So we put in electrical. We do run off of a solar trailer.
Okay.
So in your dome, it functions completely like just normal. There's light switches and lamps and outlets, but it's all from a solar trailer. And then we just built decks and then assembled the domes, and I got to pretend like I was Joanna Gaines and decorate.
There you go.
It was the funnest part.
That's great.
So we just built it. It took a while. We did 90% of it ourselves.
Wow, that's cool.
So, which looking back, we probably could have opened sooner.
Sure.
Had we done that differently. But also, our kids helped with that. Our kids learned skills.
Right.
We learned skills. we problem solved. I wouldn't change it, even though if I did another one, like if we ever expand to another location,
probably approach it differently.
I will approach it differently, but I don't regret how we did it. Well,
and that's where some of your lessons learned come from as a business. That's how you know what you're going to do differently. Is you don't know what you don't know until you're going through it, right?
Yeah.
And then you can say, oh, we could tweak this and it'd go a lot faster, right? So tell me, how did you just know the layout that you wanted? Did you guys do like a crayon drawing on a piece of paper and say, hey, we want to have this here? Or did you?
Well, yes.
Yeah.
But we also have some friends who, I can't think of the word. They drew up plot maps for us.
Oh, okay. Really?
And placed them spots. And then I would look at it and be like, I really want it to like the domes. If you have a communal bathroom, you can't go more than 300 feet away from the bathrooms. Each unit.
Providing that kind of service, right? Yeah.
So there was that restriction, but I didn't want the units initially to be even more than 100 feet away.
Oh, okay.
Like let's give us some room to grow, but also let's make it more convenient for our guests.
Right.
Because in the middle of the night,
you're waltzing through. Yeah.
Nobody wants to walk 300 feet to the bathroom.
Yeah, that is true.
So there was a lot of that, and we played with it. And then, but I'm also the kind of person, I made them measure exactly on the plot map. And then when it was time, I literally just measured with my feet and did an X with spray paint, and we started.
There you go. So, that's the technical way to do it, right?
I mean, my husband hates it, but sometimes that's just how I measure.
Yeah. So Joanna Gaines, a little shout out, Joanna Gaines, if you're ever seeing this, Diane Bealer.
Dream come true.
Yeah. We need to get you to Texas. Have you been to their location in Texas?
I will someday,
you've got to go.
I will someday.
It's cool. So tell me what the motif was. What was your design or your vision as you were decorating and putting this together? That's some of the fun part.
Oh, it's so fun. I really just wanted it to feel like home, but a nice home.
Right.
So really soft bedding, lots of texture, colors that match. Most of the pattern is like on the rugs on the floor.
Okay.
And then you complement that pattern with colors around the room.
Right.
We use an antique in every single one of our domes. That's like a hobby of mine, as I refinish antique.
Oh, cool.
So I refinished a piece in every single dome.
Cool.
So just making it feel like you could live there.
Right.
But it's a unique place to stay.
Yeah. And that's part of what glamping's about. So tell us, what's the appeal of glamping? I mean, we know obviously you're not having to, lug in sleeping bags in a tent and things like that. But tell me some of the other unique perks with Little Village Retreat that makes the glamping experience unique or enjoyable.
The best thing about us that makes us super unique is how close we are to Kolob Canyon, part of Zion National Park. And we have views for miles. So from each of our decks, you can see, I think it's 10 miles clear out past New Harmony. There's those huge Pine Valley mountains. So we have an excellent view of Pine Valley. So quiet out there and peaceful. And it's like, there's only a couple other places I've been in the world that give you that kind of peace.
Yeah.
And I credit it all to our creator. Like, nature.
Right.
Nature's like a cathedral no one can top.
Yeah.
Right. So you walk out of your dome, you're sitting on your deck, and it's just peaceful.
Do you see the Milky Way in the dark sky? You can see the
Milky Way in the dark sky. We actually had some guests who they texted me earlier in the day and said, hey, we're going to get there at like midnight because we booked a stargazing like tour in Zion's. And no problem. Like, you're good. It's ready for you. Well, I got there around 1 a.m. because a lot of times I'll just go check, make sure everything's good in the middle of the night, which sounds crazy.
Sure.
And it is. But sometimes I just want to make sure everything's fine.
Well, you're the camp host, right?
Yeah. So I got there. It was 1 a.m. and this couple was out like laying on their deck, just talking. And they were the only ones there. So it was like fine. Yeah. And they were like, this place is amazing. This is better than the stargazing tour we just did in Zion's. We shouldn't have paid $400 to stay in Zion.
Right.
Out past whenever they close the gate.
We can just see it right here.
So it's pretty amazing. So, and we've had some locals come out and do stargazing tours for our guests.
Yeah.
So
what, how far of a drive is it to the Co-op entrance? Like how many minutes does it take?
So it's about 10 minutes.
10-minute drive to Co-op. Yeah. Talk about what are some of the unique things about the Co-op entrance here?
So I love the Co-op side of Zion's. So you get all the benefits of being in a national park, right? All of the trails are properly maintained. They're regulated. They're checked on regularly. So like if there's a car that stays overnight, the rangers will go out and check. Like,
right.
So there's all the safety, the maintenance, the cleanliness. There's regular bathrooms. Like it's very well maintained. But I can't remember I'm probably going to say the wrong statistic. Like a tiny fraction of people that go to Zion's go to the Co-op entrance.
Yeah, I think the majority, because people know about Zion National Park and they go, they take the long way, you know, to the main entrance. But Co-op Canyon is its own. There's not even a way from Co-op to the main entrance, right? From what I understand, or is there?
So there is one road.
There is a road
that will go down through Springdale, or Virgin.
Oh, there is.
It goes down. It winds down through.
That's good for me to know. I didn't realize that.
It's a long drive, but it's absolutely fantastic. We drive it actually regularly, and
I knew there were trails that.
Yeah, we don't even get out of the car. We literally just go for the views.
Wow, that's awesome.
So it's a fantastic drive, but there's just nobody up there.
Yeah.
So you get to go. You get to enjoy all of the benefits of a national park.
10 minutes away.
Yeah, just 10 minutes away.
Without all the craziness of some of the traffic and the restrictions that are going on. And
you won't have to wait at the gate. You can just walk in, talk to the rangers, go on through.
What are some trails? Are you familiar with the trails?
So my favorite is the Taylor Creek Trail.
Okay, tell us why. Why Taylor Creek?
Well, once again, it's quiet. So you'll get to an arch. You get to see one of those magnificent red rock arches. But I think last year they averaged like 30 people a day on that trail.
Wow.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
So it is kind of a longer hike, but you get views of Co-op. I think that's the trail you can see what they call the Five Fingers of Co-op on that trail. I'll have to look that up when I get home.
No worries.
But just fantastic views, parts that are shaded. So even in the hot summer, there's places you can rest and cool off. And it's like a moderate trail.
Yeah.
So
moderate in difficulty.
Yes, in difficulty. So it will push like some people's limits, but allow you to explore nature.
Do you know round trip about how many miles?
I believe it's about 7 miles.
Okay.
So it's a healthy hike.
Yeah. It's out and back, or is it a loop? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think it's out and back.
Okay.
I don't believe it's a loop.
I mean, it's not like you even have to do the full 7 miles if you wanted to go.
Yeah,
and
you can
just
turn around at any time.
Traverse it, for a couple miles and back.
So I do know some people. I think there's even a campsite along the way. So if you wanted, it's only 7 miles, but I have known groups that take some tents and they hike in at like 5 o'clock at night in the summer and they stay overnight and then they hike back out in the morning.
Hey, I'm going to have to go do that.
It's super cool option.
Yeah.
So
are there other trails there too that you can remember their names that you like?
I can't remember any more names, but there's a couple more that are just fantastic. And there is a secret water hole.
Okay.
I won't tell you where that is on there.
Well, you have to come stay at the Little Village Retreat. Well, and that's one of the interesting things here locally. We depend a lot on tourism, plays an important role here.
Yeah.
For a lot of businesses, yet we balance it out with come and see, and if you come and see, we may show you one of these unique areas that we like because we also want to preserve. We like the fact that they're not overrun. Like some of the other areas, have been kind of overrun. And that's because there is this immense beauty here that's not comparable to anywhere else in the world. I mean, I was on the show, we had Hayden Hawks, who's a local professional trail runner, and he was saying that some of those trails in Zion are comparable with anywhere else that he's run in the world. Yeah. And Cedar City was named Gateway to the Parks years ago by Union Pacific Railroad because train is how everybody used to come see the national parks. And so we have this long history of these world-renowned sites. And okay, so let's, and I guess I kind of touched on my next question for you, but.
Hey, Diane, tell us about Kanarra Falls before we move on.
Oh, Kanarra Falls. Kanarra Falls is one of the most popular hikes in southern Utah. I believe on Google, it's still not in comparison, but like people search for Kanarra Falls almost as much as like Angel's Landing. Mm-hmm. Like Kanarra Falls is fantastic. And people have no idea that it's in Kanarraville, Utah. Yep. Right? They just know about Kanarra Falls. And Kanarra Falls is a fantastic, it's about 4-ish miles in and out. But you get a traverse, like you walk in the stream, you're in a slot canyon for a lot of the time. And then you get to the first waterfall. And the first waterfall is fantastic. But then they've put in these awesome still steps that go up. You can walk up these steps and you get to go further into the slot canyon and see a second waterfall. So we actually, that's one of the reasons we built so close to Kanarraville is because they allow about 250 permits to Kanarra Falls every day. But nobody stays there because there's only the 2-room motel in Kanarraville. And so we wanted people to make it a day trip.
Right.
And then they can stay and go to Zion's. They don't have to drive home the same day. But Kanarra Falls is just such a fantastic hike and very private. Even if there's 250 people, they spread that out over that time in the day. And you really don't
see a lot of people. Yeah.
It's a pretty private hike and it's so fantastic. Cold if you go.
Depending on the time of the year.
Before May or after like October.
When's your preferred time of year to go see it?
Oh man, I've been in the summer and the summer was fantastic because you kind of cool off because you're in the water.
You're in the slots and
like not super high. Right. Like it doesn't ever, I don't remember ever getting up to my knees. It's pretty shallow. Like my kids did it. And then we've been in October. And while the water was, I had one child in tears because their feet were so cold. But
I laugh like maniacally.
I mean, like it's just how it is.
I'm just having flashbacks of my children tearing up about little hikes we've been on and stuff.
And I'm super compassionate. And I was like, well, if you'd actually stay in the water, they would go numb and then you wouldn't be cold anymore.
You go.
So super compassionate. But in October, beauty like I'd never seen. Because the leaves were changing, like, and that red rock with these yellow and orange and red leaves was fantastic. Right. We loved it. My teenagers were taking pictures, which tells you a lot because they usually just take pictures of themselves.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's I'm glad we we brought up those falls because that's one of the real unique things here in Iron County, in that in particular. And you're right, there, people research that as much as they do anything in Zion or some of these.
They have no idea where it is,
right? But
they want to do it. So
well, that actually answers one of the questions. And maybe if you want to go on more about it, what were some of the reasons in particular why you decided, why Iron County? Why have it here?
So I came to Iron County in 2001. Just to go to SUU.
Okay. For college.
Yeah, for college. Yeah. And just fell in love with the beauty. And I mean, I could have a friend call me and be like, hey, we're going for a hike in 5 minutes. And they'd pick me up and we'd literally be at the trailhead in less than 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Some of them 5 minutes. We hiked in Kanarraville several times, Kolob, up Cedar Canyon. And I just fell in love with how accessible nature is. And really, truly, you can just walk out your front door. But in Cedar City, that feels, and in Iron County, that feels like truth. Mm-hmm. Walk out your front door and you're there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's really the hardest part. If you can get out your door, the world is open to you here.
Right.
And really in Iron County, correct me if I'm wrong, Dallas, I think Kanarra Falls is the only hike that charges.
For Kanarraville?
For access to the hike.
Oh, okay. Do you know, but it requires that permit, right?
Yeah. So that's what you pay for, is you pay for your permit to be able to access the hike on a certain day.
Right.
But I think in Iron County, every other hike is publicly available.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. Really, truly, you can just walk out your door and go.
Well, and even the cost for the permit for the falls is pretty minimal.
Yeah, it really is minimal. Yeah. So I just love Iron County. I love the festivals they have that draw people here, that make people want to come back.
Yeah.
We're huge on supporting other small businesses. Mm-hmm. So I use small businesses for catering, for events, and everything we do. If we need something, I try and find a small business in Southern Utah.
So do you have little events out there then?
So we did a Christmas market a year and a half ago and just allowed local businesses to sell their products, which was fantastic.
Fun.
We loved it. And we also do retreats. So we host retreats. And we've put some of those on, and we've used local massage therapists. We've used local therapists for the meditations or the journaling. And we just pool those resources, find people, and we just network and bring them in.
Yeah, and these are like business retreats, if you want to host
they're
one.
business retreats. We've done, we did a Mother's Day retreat last year. So we just try and use what's here.
Right.
Instead of bringing in a big wig from somewhere else.
Right, yeah.
We in Iron County, we have everything we need to do what we want to do.
So in addition to the outdoors, there's, 10 minutes to Kolob, and how far to the falls?
Oh, Kanarra Falls is 2 miles.
2 miles from where
driveway.
you're at. Okay. So you're talking, you could go for a morning jog and then go start your hike, basically.
You could jog from our retreat to the falls if you wanted
amazing.
to.
So we have these incredible outdoor things. What are some other, you mentioned festivals, what are some of the other cool things that you recommend if people come to stay at Little Village Retreat that they go and do in Iron County, Cedar City area?
So the July Jamboree has been huge. We actually had people come this past year specifically to stay so they could go to the July Jamboree.
And what's the July Jamboree? What's that all about? So
a July Jamboree is an event put on by local businesses. And it basically is just a street fair and car show. Mm-hmm. So, and it's grown. It's huge now.
Yeah, they closed down Main Street.
Yeah, it's huge. There's so many cars, and they're all, most of them are antique cars.
Yeah.
There are just some people who want to show off their awesome cars, which is fine.
Yeah,
we like to look at them. And then it's just local businesses. So there's vendors and cars to look at. And Cedar City turns out for that event. We show up. Yeah. So there's just people, and we're all having fun. We're eating local food. We're looking at great cars, and we're supporting small businesses.
Yeah.
And buying their products and getting to know them.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
What is all right? What July Jamboree and what other things?
The Shakespeare Festival is a huge draw. Just Shakespeare plays. People want to come spend a weekend, watch plays, or spend a night.
Yep.
Brings in tons of visitors. And then another big one for us, just had it in my head. There's several things that Cedar Breaks does.
Oh, yes.
Like they have the star shows, and they have several events.
Star parties?
Yes, the star parties. which I should just tell people they can stay, but
right.
they're welcome to go.
It's a cool party. Yeah.
Cedar Breaks is awesome. They put on a great show. They show you things that you can look at without a telescope. Plus there is a telescope.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And then they can come back, spend the night.
Well, in Cedar Breaks, if people aren't familiar, it's not a national park. It's a national monument.
Yeah.
But they have just in the summertime with all the flowers, like maybe spring, summertime, all the flowers that they have out there.
Yeah.
I can't remember if there's like a official, like
there is a
they call it the flower party.
Yeah.
It's just the wildflower festival.
There's a wildflower
festival.
Yeah. And they have hikes up there. You can spend all day at Cedar Breaks, multiple days even if you want.
Right, right.
So, and then in the wintertime, they have snowmobiling trails. It's not really put on by them. You have to get there on your own, but there's just fantastic opportunities.
Yeah. And there's rentals for snowmobiles, for side by sides in the area for people to just go and have some fun. Yeah.
So,
well, there's one thing that I wanted to go back to, and this is on the small business side. So a lot of times with small business and trying to get things started and rolling, you talked about having to make the sacrifice of selling your home, but there's support out there for you as a small business. Talk about some of the things that were able to help you as a small business be successful and do it right.
So I utilized, we have a small business center here in Cedar City, which is amazing. Not very many. I guess we're not really a small town anymore.
Yeah, well, Cedar City is kind of a transitioning rural, but the surrounding area is still very much the classic rural, right?
Yeah. So we have a small business center. We have an office for the Women in Business Center, which is incredible. So I utilize both of those. Joni Anderson in the Small Business Center is
great.
Fantastic resource. She is incredible. She has so much knowledge. She helped me run my initial numbers. We sat down several times and we're like, okay, will it work if you don't hit this number? Like, will it work if you can get to this point? Will it work? And we went through so many scenarios, and I still actually have those.
Oh, that's awesome.
Those numbers on my computer. I still went back the other day and looked at those and was like, oh my gosh, like,
right.
Look at how different it is and what worked and what didn't. And I actually continue to work with Joni. If I have problems I'm not sure I can figure out, she is such a great sounding board to talk with. And then the Innovation Center, I've used the Innovation Center here so much. I was actually a part of a group called The Hive.
Okay.
So you apply for it, and then 6 small businesses get chosen, and it's
each year, or just
I think they do 2 what they call cohorts a year. So it was 6 months.
Okay.
So, and we met every week, and then we were able to use the Innovation Center during that time period as well, which anyone can use it. Just book an appointment and go and talk to them.
Right.
But I made all my T-shirts and sweatshirts that I made for my business there. They helped me come up with designs a couple of times. They helped me get the design for that. I already had my logo, but they helped me put it on stickers. They helped me proofread my brochures. And then in that cohort for the Hive, that was just such an amazing experience to meet every week with 6 small business owners. Mm-hmm. And then we had some accountability partners that were there. Mm. And so you set goals and you talk about problems and you figure them out. And then you show up the next week and everybody's checking on you. And I actually made friends with people that I thought, well, their business is kind of a hobby. I kind of was like, that's kind of just a hobby. But they were the ones coming up with the ideas I couldn't think of. Mm. And they were the ones checking on me throughout the week to be like, hey, I know you had that meeting. How did it go?
Right.
So just invaluable relationships, networking opportunities. They do events where you can network and get the word out there for your business. And they give you kind of priority when you're in the Hive, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And they're just such a fantastic resource. I would encourage anyone who's even thinking of a small business idea to go in there and to use them, because they have so much information and resources they can share.
Who would you recommend other small businesses talk to if they're going to go into the Innovation Center or
let's
use
think
the
of all
Hive?
their names.
Yeah.
So Joni Anderson is the first person I contacted, and I cannot recommend her enough. And then Jeremy Waite at the in the Innovation Center. He is a small business owner himself, but he oversees everything at the Innovation Center. So he's a super great resource. And I see his face. Can't remember his name.
Are you talking about Grayson?
Yes, Grayson.
Yeah.
So Grayson, I actually have met with Grayson 3 times. He helps so much with marketing ideas and opportunities, and he can look at your Google ads and give you pointers. So Grayson is amazing. He actually gave me several recommendations for books to read, and those were fantastic. I still sometimes follow up with Grayson and be like, hey, I just read this in this book. Like, let's talk about it. So many resources there in that Small Business Center and Innovation Center that are just so fantastic for small business owners.
Yeah, and the way the resources that they offer, and I'm glad it's so cool to hear that you're involved with the Hive, and to kind of hear your perspective. A couple things that you were saying when you're talking about ideas that maybe you hadn't thought of. So I've throughout most of my life, I've gotten the thing where I can go into something that somebody's planned and be fun and kind of, liven it up and everything. But because of that, people always think I'm a great idea guy. And, they'll come to me like, what should we do? And I'm like, I don't know. If you plan it, I can make it. And what my point is sometimes with business or in managing an organization, you're not always the one with all the ideas, right?
Yeah.
We all have our strong suits most of the time in small business too. A lot of times there's the person that's the idea person with the vision, and there's the finance person that's managing everything in the background. Everybody kind of has their different roles, and it's understanding where your strengths are and being able to have that networking to have other people and say, hey, I need some help on this idea that I'm formulating, right? And that's kind of some of the intent of the Hive, right?
Oh, yeah. And to get just those different perspectives, right? And different experiences. Like I can be super creative, but sometimes when I have a problem, I get sucked into the problem and think it's too big.
Yeah, yeah.
And for someone looking in from the outside, they're like, well, try this or try this. And you're like, I never would have even thought of trying that.
Right.
So that was huge. Well,
so often in lots of various types of scenarios, you can see someone in a situation and you're like, don't they realize if they just do that and make it easier? But when you're the one in that situation, you don't always really recognize it. Or if you do recognize it, you also see all of the negative things, which makes you think maybe it's not possible, right? And so having some of that outside perspective really helps. So something like the Innovation Center or the Hive, some people may view that as, well, I don't have time for that. But the truth is, it's going to save you time.
Make time.
Buying you time, right?
Yeah. I would say if you have the opportunity to participate in the Hive and you don't think you have time, I actually know 2 business owners I've recommended that they apply, and they have literally said to me, I don't have time for that. And all I can say back is make time. You will not regret it.
Well, you make time for what's important, right? And so if your business, if you need some help with your business, you've got to make time. Otherwise, you're just going to keep spinning your wheels in a downward spiral, right? Yeah. And you want to have an upward trajectory.
If you don't make time to find solutions or to get help, time will just eat you up. It will just take up all your time.
I feel like I need to do like a cheesy infomercial for the Cedar City Business and Innovation Center, where small business becomes big dreams. Something like that. Jeremy, you can use that. Can we cut that into a promo?
They're already a sponsor.
Yes, I'm cheesing it up because they are a sponsor. So we really appreciate the Business and Innovation Center and what they do for small business, because I don't know of a single big business that didn't somewhere down the line start out as a small business, unless you're seed money or a spin off of an already big business. Most really great ideas come come from someone grassroots that has an idea, a passion in their belly. They're willing to make the sacrifices to make it happen. Right. And that's where small business does make big dreams come true. To throw in my cheesy infomercial, but
it's okay. That business center is fantastic. You got to go there.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Well, tell me just a little bit more about what you love about managing the Little Village Retreat. What are some of your favorite experiences that you've had so far?
The best things that happen at Little Village Retreat are when people come and connect. So the dream comes from my family. So my dad's family does a reunion every Labor Day. So we go to this teeny tiny town, smaller than Kanarraville, Utah, and we camp at the city park.
Oh, really?
So there's about 30 tents and about 60 to 80 people, depending on the day and the time. And we just have fun. We play volleyball, we play games, we sit around and talk, we eat good food, we have water balloon launchers. We just are outside and together. And that almost anyone in our family, not everyone loves it, so it's okay. But almost anyone in our family would say that place is magical. And Little Village Retreat has that same magic. So families come and they're roasting marshmallows and they're laughing and they're playing games and they're in and out of their units and they're just having a good time.
Yeah.
And we have tried to build a place that magic can be created. So when you don't have to worry about the tent and the sleeping bags and all the bedding and making your kids help in all of that hard work, which is good for them. I will stand up for that. It is good for them. But when your worries are less, the magic can happen faster.
Right.
So we have just tried to create a place where you come, your stress is at a minimum, and you can just enjoy and feel connection with your family or your friends, whoever you're there with, and feel the peace and just enjoy and make time for each other.
Yeah. Well, one of the things my wife always says about, like, she loves to plan and go on vacations, and we love outdoor stuff. But one of the things that she says is it's never really a true vacation because she's working the whole time. And she actually loves, we've only been on a couple, like a cruise. She's like, it's the only vacation that's a real vacation for a mom, because you don't have to plan anything. Right. Yeah. And when I hear you talk about the magic, to me, well, maybe I should ask you instead, what do you think is the core of that magic? What is the secret sauce of that magic? Whether it's going to with your family at that city park and what you're trying to emulate there at Little Village Retreat. What's the core of that magic?
I really feel like the core is the connection. When even just two people sitting across the table, you can build that connection, right? Anybody can roast a marshmallow over a campfire, right? But if someone's telling a joke or a story or even crying because they need help with a problem,
right?
That connection, when you care more about the person than whatever is happening in the outside world, whether it's on your device or in the news or at work, when you set aside time for someone else and really make those connections,
right?
Magic is like in abundance,
right?
It just comes. And then memories are formed and made and put in your minds forever. And then the place becomes even more special. And really all we did was build something where that magic could take place.
Organically, right?
Yeah. Our guests are what bring that magic.
Yeah.
I wish Little Village Retreat was just a magical place.
Sure.
And it is for me, but really our guests bring that magic with them.
Right.
They're already choosing, we don't have Wi-Fi. So, I mean, they are making a conscious choice to put everything else in their lives besides the people they're bringing with them on the back burner.
Yeah.
So they're choosing to come, to connect, to make time for someone else or other people. And then those memories and that magic happened because they're there.
Right.
Even if it's pouring rain and they are playing checkers.
Yeah.
That magic is cultivated and happens.
Well, when you talked about your family get together and then you talked about that magic and bringing it over, my immediate thought was, and this is what I was going to say, and you hit it, was the memories. The memories is the magic. Memories are what's lasting, right?
Yeah.
I hear so many people say, and I think there's a lot of truth to this, don't waste your money on things, spend your money on, spend your money on making memories, right? And when you talk about connection, what's interesting about that is you're actually talking about disconnecting from all the things that we're connected to on a daily basis that weigh us down, that bog us down, right?
Yeah.
And reconnecting and creating new connections, real in-person connections. And it's not just in-person. And that's why we've talked a lot about the natural beauty around here is you're connecting with nature, you're connecting with people, connecting with yourself in a lot of ways. And so I love that. And it creates memories. Some of my favorite memories with family or out on a hike on my own is just that breath of fresh air that you breathe in and you look around and you see an amazing sunset that's unique that you've never seen before, or you look up and you're stargazing and you see the Milky Way. And this is cheesy. I don't think I've ever told anyone this, but where I had a house before on the mountains, I would always watch the constellation Orion, and throughout the year where it would be, depending when I'd get to my house, and you could see the stars in the Milky Way, and it's very similar here. And when I moved here, it's the same thing. I would always look up and I'd be like, "Where's Orion? Oh, how's it going, buddy?" You know what I mean? Like it's just there's something so de-stressing about the outdoors and making those connections. So, well, to kind of wrap up, tell me if you're someone listening to this podcast or someone thinking about coming out to visit the parks, why Little Village Retreat? We've talked a lot about maybe some of the whys, but in a nice succinct way, why Little Village Retreat if somebody's contemplating coming out here?
So our target market is introverts. So there's lots of places to camp. To glamp in southern Utah, especially around Zions. You really can glamp almost anywhere you want near the park. But if you don't want to be in the crowds, but you have to face them in Zions, go face them in Zions. When you come to Little Village Retreat, it's going to feel like you're alone. So you'll have time to reset, to feel like you're secluded and in a private place. You won't have 50 other people trying to use the common areas. You just won't. Our permit doesn't even allow us to have that many people on site. So you will feel that opportunity to reset, to recoup and recover. You won't be exhausted in the place you're staying as well as in the park. You'll have that opportunity for privacy and for peace and quiet.
I love that. Well, Diane, thank you so much for coming on. Why don't you tell the audience where they can go to book a tell me again.
Geodesic.
I tried to say it like 10 times in the beginning just to ingrain it and it didn't work.
It's okay.
If you want to stay at Little Village Retreat, where can they find you online?
So the best place is at littlevillageretreat.com.
Okay.
You can find us on Airbnb, VRBO, Booking.com, Expedia. If you trust those sites more, some people just do.
Yeah, sure.
We're on all of those sites. We're a super host on Airbnb. But the cheapest rate for both parties is direct booking on our website.
Awesome. Well, awesome. Well, thanks again for coming, and we hope everything goes well for Little Village Retreat.
Thanks for having me.
All right, take care.